The armed forces of Sudan and South Sudan clashed in the border region claimed by both countries on Wednesday in a rare direct confrontation between the old civil war foes. Both countries said they would bring complaints against each other to the United Nations, moves likely to hinder already tense talks over issues such as oil and debt that have remained unresolved since South Sudan seceded in July. Joining us now from Nairobi on what this implies for South Sudan's economic prosperity is Morris Nsamba, Research Fellow at the African Research and Resource Foundation. Morris, good evening.
Good evening.
Are we at risk of a full-blown war here?
I think that so far cannot indicate in any way that we are at risk of a full-blown war. However, we must also appreciate the fact that there are quite a number of unresolved issues, as you've said, oil, Abyei, the border demarcations, and the manner in which these issues will be articulated at national and regional level, at international level, will have an effect in terms of economic development of Southern Sudan.
Sure.
and the entire region.
So, should we take the view then that this is likely to be just a flash in the pan and therefore both sides recognize the gravity of engaging in a full-scale civil war and therefore will step away from the brink?
Yeah, definitely. I think no side, neither South Sudan or Sudan is interested in a full-blown war. And I think for Sudan, a full-blown war puts it at a much graver risk. Of course, at the present situation, the levels of trust between the two parties are there at low level. But of course, there is headway that has been so far made in terms of settling and making headway on a number of issues in Southern Sudan and the relation between the two Sudans.
But who is to blame for this latest flash in the conflict between the two sides?
I think at this particular moment we cannot put blame. I would squarely say that the North is responsible or South Sudan is responsible.
Well, North Sudan, Morris says that the South tried to attack 6 times and they were repulsed. On the other hand, South Sudan says, oh, these guys came and hit our area. And the Northern Sudanese are saying, hang on, this is not your area at all.
I think we need to look at the context within which all these issues are happening. In the first place, you need to acknowledge the fact that on both sides, there are militia groups which are outside the control of the formal security forces on the other side.
Right.
We also need to appreciate the fact that the issues that the militia groups put on table are not within the framework within which the two parties, that's Sudan and South Sudan, operate or can, within their context, manage. And therefore, it creates a particular framework within which none of the two Sudan can say that it's squarely responsible for whatever is happening. So I think in my view, the most important thing to do is to look beyond a single event, to look at much more bigger and broader issues.
Yeah.
In the region and between the two parties.
So let's talk about those broader issues, and also let's talk about the issues beyond those on the surface. We know there's disagreement on the division of the potential oil wealth between the two countries. But beyond this, are we looking here at a long-running border dispute we've seen develop and continue to fester between Ethiopia and Eritrea? Is there a risk here that could well be on one of those again?
Yeah, I think when it comes to, if we look at it in broader terms, and if we start with the border issue, I think you need also to appreciate the fact that in the entire region, and that's the Eastern Africa and the Horn of Africa, almost each country has a border issue. And these border issues are historical in nature. Here are communities or countries, if you wish, with border communities or border societies, these borders were arbitrarily drawn. And for you to now come and say that you're going to demarcate a border, you're cutting between communities, it's going to be very difficult because some of these people have learned to live, some of them outside the state, and their issues are within those communities that cannot be settled easily.
Right.
In the case of North Sudan and South Sudan, I think the most important issue here is oil.
Right.
We need to know that in both countries, oil is a key economic resource, a key revenue earner.
Yeah.
And for any country to accept, to release, or to let go of that, it's going to be very difficult.
Sure.
Especially where there is no alternative. In the case of Southern Sudan, oil funds, or you could say almost the sole source of revenue for government, funding 90% of government expenditures. So, of course, you expect tensions, especially where there are no alternatives.
Yeah. Let's blame the British and then forget about the British because they came a long time ago and went away. So largely this is a conflict between ourselves. But let's talk about in whose interest this war may be if it comes out to a full war. Is it in the interest of South Sudan to be engaged in this war as a way of trying to resolve the whole oil issue and get perhaps international opinion on its side, so perhaps they end up with a larger share of the oil wealth than they have now?
I think for South Sudan, it has been stated clearly by the political leadership that it's not interested in a full-blown war. And I think it's the same case with North Sudan in the sense that I think the Bashir government is trying now to sort, if you wish, to sort of win political favor at an international level. So any attempt to go full-blown conflict is likely to jeopardize that agenda.